Welcome to Storycraft Portal, where every story isn't just told, it's felt. Today's story is a haunting truth that doesn't just break hearts, it questions humanity. Imagine this: a young mother-to-be, carrying life within her, is gunned down over suspicion. "Are you going to shoot me?" Those are the final words of 21-year-old Kiya, moments before a police officer fired a bullet through her windshield. In an instant, 2 lives were lost. This isn't just a tragedy. It's a gut-wrenching reminder of the fear, the power imbalance, and the irreversible consequences of a single, unjust moment. Stay with us, because what you're about to hear is more than a story. It's a system screaming for change. It was a regular summer evening in Blenheim Township, Ohio. The grocery store parking lot buzzed with the usual flow of people, until a black car stood out. Behind the wheels sat Kiya Young, 21 years old, visibly pregnant, calm, yet confused. 2 officers approached her vehicle. One gestured firmly, the other stood in front of her car, blocking her way. Her heart pounded. "What's the problem?" she asked, her voice steady but unsure. The officers suspected theft. No hard proof, just suspicion. "Step out of the vehicle," one ordered. She hesitated. Seconds felt like hours. The front officer tightened his stance. "I didn't steal anything," she said, clutching the steering wheel. The officer's hand crept toward his holster. What started as routine now simmered with tension. Her next move could change everything, but she didn't know that yet. A mother, a suspicion, a deadly decision looming. And then she whispered, "Are you going to shoot me?" Kiya's breath shortened as her hands clutched the wheel tighter. The officer's stance wasn't changing, his silhouette rigid, his eyes unreadable. She looked around. People were watching, but no one moved. "I didn't do anything," she repeated, louder this time, as if someone, anyone, would hear her. The officer in front, now visibly agitated, shouted, "Put the car in park." She flinched. Inside her, her unborn baby shifted slightly. Was it fear or just life reminding her was still there? Her instinct screamed, "Stay calm." But fear was louder. The officer moved his hand, closer now, inches from drawing. She turned her head slightly and whispered, "Why are you doing this?" No reply. Her foot brushed the pedal unintentionally. The officer stepped back. The energy shifted. The trigger of fate had been pulled, but not by a bullet. Not yet. And then, her car moved an inch forward. That single inch forward was all it took. The officer's voice turned to a roar. "Stop the vehicle!" But Kiya didn't hear it clearly. Her ears rang with panic. The other officer moved to the side, but the one in front didn't budge. In a blink, he drew his weapon. Time cracked. A gunshot echoed across the lot. The windshield exploded into shards. Some caught the sunlight like fire. Her body slumped. Still, blood bloomed across her chest like a slow-moving storm. Shoppers screamed. Phones came out, but nothing could rewind what had just happened. Inside her, the life she carried, a boy, fell into sudden, haunting stillness. Her eyes stared blankly at nothing. One moment, she was defending herself. The next, she was a headline. And yet, no one moved to help. Only cameras rolled. The officer lowered his weapon, slowly, expressionless. Was this justice or murder in daylight? As the shot echoed into silence, the parking lot descended into surreal stillness. Someone finally screamed. Another dropped their groceries and ran. The car had rolled slightly, bumping into a brick barrier. A trail of blood traced her still body. Officers radioed for medical, but nothing. No CPR, no rush, just protocol. The second officer opened the door cautiously, hand still on his holster. Kiya didn't move. Her body slumped sideways, lifeless. Her belly was still. Her phone lit up from a message. "Where are you, Mama?" Paramedics arrived minutes later, but there was no urgency, just measured steps. Her heart had stopped, hers and her child's. The crowd watched, recording, sobbing, swearing. But justice wasn't there. Not yet. One officer spoke to the crowd. "She tried to run me over." That sentence would echo louder than the gunshot in the hours to come. And behind the tape lay 2 lost lives. Within an hour, news spread like wildfire. Pregnant woman shot by police. But the headlines didn't tell the full story. The official statement was swift. She drove toward the officer. Body cam footage was withheld for now. The department promised transparency, but silence grew louder. Takiya's family was notified. Her mother collapsed. Her sons, 6 and 3, asked where she was. No one had the words. Social media ignited with fury. Why shoot a pregnant woman? Why no descalación? And yet, others defended the shot, claiming the officer feared for his life. The town split. But one thing was undeniable. A young woman and her unborn son were gone. Not in war, not in chaos, in daylight, in a parking lot. Her name joined the list. But her story was just beginning to be told. One video surfaced. Her voice, "Are you going to shoot me?" The answer had already been written in blood. Takiya Young's name was now a hashtag. Her smile, once seen only by family, flooded timelines. The video of her final words went viral. Millions watched as her fear unfolded frame by frame. Protesters gathered outside the police department with candles, posters, and tears. "Say her name," they chanted. But inside the station, silence. No apology, no charges, just bureaucracy. Her family released a statement. She was a mother, a daughter. She was carrying a life. Now both are gone. The public demanded answers, but the system offered delay. A lawyer stepped forward, representing the Young family. This was not a threat. This was a killing. But behind closed doors, the officer was placed on administrative leave, standard procedure. Meanwhile, her son still waited for answers no child should ever need. And the world kept asking, if her voice couldn't stop a bullet, what will it take to stop the next? 2 weeks passed. Then leak. A whistleblower released body cam footage to the public. It was raw, uncut, unedited. The moment Takiya whispered, "Are you going to shoot me?" You could feel the tension shift. The car didn't lunge. It crept. Inches. The officer had time, but he pulled the trigger anyway. The public reaction was instant. Rage and heartbreak flooding every corner of the internet. "This isn't justice," one post read. "It's murder." The department scrambled for control, releasing a carefully worded statement. But the footage spoke louder than their words. That day, crowds tripled outside the station. Her family watched the video once. Only once. And it broke them. A woman who should have been planning a baby shower was now a face in a headline. The officer's name was released. And suddenly, the story was no longer under control. It belonged to the people, and they were not staying quiet. As anger spread, the streets turned louder. Peaceful protests lined city halls. Students walked out. Mothers held photos of their own children. That could have been mine. Public pressure forced the Attorney General to act. An investigation was officially opened. The officer was placed on unpaid leave, but not charged. Yet, the Young family lawyer called it an insult to accountability. Meanwhile, a mural of Takiya appeared on a city wall. Her face, her baby's name underneath. The art said what officials wouldn't. This was preventable. In a town hall meeting, a former officer stood and said, "We're trained to assess threats." A pregnant woman? That wasn't one. Applause thundered. That moment shifted everything. It wasn't just grief anymore. It was a movement. The pressure cooker had reached its limit, and the next step wasn't protest. It was legal. The world was done waiting. A lawsuit was coming, and this time, silence wasn't an option. The courtroom was silent when the case was heard. The officer, clean-shaven, emotionless, stood beside his lawyer. Takiya's family sat front row, holding her picture. The prosecutor played the footage. The room held its breath. What threat did she pose? The lawyer asked the jury. Defense argued policy. It was instinct, not murder. But emotion outweighed logic. The public watched the trial like a national event. Live coverage, hashtags, debates. Takiya's children weren't allowed inside, but they asked every day, "Is the man who hurt mommy going to jail?" Her mother testified, trembling. She was just trying to go home. The jury's faces were unreadable. Outside the courthouse, supporters gathered in silence. And then the prosecution ended with a line that cracked the room. "He didn't just take her life. He erased her future. The jury would decide, but the world had already chosen a side. The verdict came on a cloudy afternoon. The courtroom was full. Guilty of manslaughter, the judge read. Gasps. Some cried. Some hugged. The officer, once silent, lowered his head. The sentence, 15 years. Not enough for some, but for her family, it was a start. Outside, cheers mixed with sobs. Kiya's mother held her photo, whispering, "You were seen. You were heard." Her sons released white balloons, one for mommy, one for their unborn brother. A scholarship was created in her name, helping young mothers in need. The mural now bore the words, "She deserved to live." Justice wasn't perfect, but it was written finally. In a world where names are forgotten fast, hers stayed. Not because of the shot that ended her life, but the echo that followed. Kiya, say her name, because her story may be over, but its voice will never fade.